What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really interesting knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. This is the Zieba Knives MS3. I hope I got that right. If I didn't, I will add some words up there. This knife was provided by Mr. Jeff Goodnow. A lot of you who've been watching my channel for a long time are very familiar with Jeff. He provides a lot of the more expensive knives that I show on my channel. He's a big-time collector, and he's kind enough to share his collection with me and let me show some of his knives. So thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. If you guys have been enjoying my channel for a while, whether you're new or you've been around for a long time, I do daily knife uploads. I have lots of knives coming in, and I review them, and they go back out. So in order to keep up with that, of course, I do have, of course, some amazing patrons who really help keep the cogs of this channel turning. If you would like to support me, you can follow the link down in the description to my Patreon and have a look around. I do have some really cool Metal Complex logo stickers that are available at certain tiers, as well as exclusive content that's available to anyone who joins any tier. Excuse me, even the $1 tier. So if that sounds interesting to you and you'd like to see what that's all about, feel free to check out my Patreon, and the support would mean the world to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this little guy. This knife was made, I think the first time I saw it was on Jim Skelton's channel, and they are currently available. I actually was able to find this guy on DLT Trading. Let me turn this in a way that's going to make it easy to get a measurement. Knife's coming in just it's like right at 6.5 inches. 6.5 inches overall. The blade length coming in under 3 inches, which is great. 2.75 inches. Cutting edge just a little bit over 2.5, about 2.6 inches. So the nice thing about this guy is that if you live in an area that prohibits knives over 3 inches, you can carry this guy, this very fancy little guy. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. You can see how I'm zoomed in, as much as I can so that I can still get these size comparison knives in here. The Rat 1 is coming in much taller, much thicker, much longer, 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall, still substantially larger. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Bug Out? Benchmade Bug Out, known for being small, compact, lightweight, is coming in substantially larger at 7.5 inches overall. And the smallest knife comparison that I usually do, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7.25 inches overall. I'm going to go ahead and get one more knife, one more that I think would be important to do as a size comparison here. How about the Victorinox Cadet? The smallest knife that I carry on my person. So this knife is actually, the Victorinox Cadet is actually a little bit smaller, but there you go. That's as close as I can get in terms of a size comparison that a lot of people might be familiar with. Victorinox Cadet needing to be cleaned. Definitely not, not great on camera. So how's the action on this guy? Well, the action is pretty good considering it's a teeny tiny little blade. I'll go ahead and get in there so you guys can see that we are running on bearings. I don't know if we're actually going to be able to get in there. At least I believe that's the case. I always talk about this. I don't check. I don't look up the parts. I don't look up that stuff before I do the review, because what it does is it tends to create an unfair bias for or against the knife. So I like to just experience it, and then I like to get my thoughts out without looking up anything other than vital information on the knife. It feels like it's running on bearings. Now, this is not going to be a drop shut knife. It's one that you really have to position your fingers carefully. You don't have a lot of room, and everybody knows the rule. You got to keep your fingers off that lock bar. And then it's all, I'm not going to say it's push button because this is very pointy. You really have to do more of a light switch, but it does deploy, and it's pretty impressive. The detent has to be fairly heavy so that you can get that very light, very needle-like blade to fly out. But once you get the hang of it, yeah, the deployment is very reliable. You're going to have a few misfires here and there. That's just going to be the nature of the beast in order to achieve this blade shape and profile of the body and everything like that. But yeah, it does do well. The, you know what? Let's weigh it. Let's go ahead and weigh it real quick. This knife is titanium. Contour titanium. There is some milling on the inside. To my surprise, I honestly thought there'd be no milling or anything on the inside. Overall weight of this guy is coming in at basically what the Benchmade bug out weighs, 1.87 ounces. Super duper light. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that or be surprised by it. So what are we looking at for materials? Well, like I said, we're looking at contoured titanium. And we are also looking at a very bizarre type of Damasteel. This is Damasteel, but it's one of the other variants that's listed on their websites, like DS9X. I can't remember. But it is a performance-oriented Damasteel. It's powder formed. The end result is, according to their website, an edge that is easy to maintain and also has good performance properties, very even, you know, like in terms of the edge, you know, like if you're sharpening an ingot formed steel, then the certain parts of the edge might be more or less favoring the type of edge retention that you bought the steel for. With the powder steel, everything's even, so you can expect the same type of performance across the entirety of the edge as long as it's all sharpened the same way. And then of course you get all the strength and the other properties there. This is, I believe, a stainless Damascus, so you're going to get stainless properties there. As far as user Damascus goes, I think this is going to be excellent. This is the type of knife, this is not the type of knife that you're going to be taking out to chop down trees with, or, you know, really beat on. It's really not that type of knife. This is the type of knife that I would carry to church or a cocktail party or somewhere where, you know, I feel like, number one, the people around me, you know, might like to talk about items like this, but at the same time, this is not the type of item that's really going to scare a lot of people. It might a little bit. You know, my wife made a point one time that she said, sometimes the little tiny knives like this, because she was like, to me, that looks like a little tiny stiletto. And in some ways, that's actually scarier than a large knife, because it makes people wonder, you know, why is it so small and compact? Is it meant to be hidden? I had never thought of that. To me, the smaller the knife, the less intimidating it is. But I suppose it depends on, you know, how you think of it. So some people might think of it like that. Some people might not. In any case, this is, to me, it's a more appropriate knife for more of a classy setting, you know, not a hard use knife, obviously. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of thickness on the blade there. I'm going to guess the blade's about 120 thousandths. It's thicker because of the rest of the knife. It's thicker than it looks, but I know it's sort of a mirage. Let's zero that out and try again. That was almost 130. That can't be right. Maybe it is. I'm going to guess 125. Nope. 120 thousandths. That makes sense to me. Not a lot of room to drop down to a cutting edge, but with the room that it has, it does come down to a pretty fine edge. This is going to be an excellent letter opener, an excellent package opener. It's a fully flat ground blade that is meant to basically pierce and then cut efficiently, and then you put it away. I really like the simplicity of the blade. I'm a big fan of that. I love the mirror reflectivity on the acid etchings, I guess, of the Damasteel. And I kind of like the, well, I really like the spine. Check that out. It kind of looks like flames. I love the idea of being able to use the tip as a splinter getter. I get a lot of splinters, and I really appreciate a fine tip like what I get with my PM2. The PM2 has dug out plenty of splinters. This knife is definitely going to excel at that if you've got it handy in that setting. Blade's really nice. There's a little bit of jimping up here. Not really functional, if I'm being honest. I don't know why you would really need to bear down on a knife like this, but it's there. More so for looks, I guess, than anything else. This has all been knocked down. It's not sharp. It's not something that's really catching my fingernails or anything like that, so that's nice. I gotta be honest, I really don't like that Zieba put their logo right there. It kind of takes away from the classiness of the Damasteel. I would prefer that that just wasn't there and it was just sterile. It would look so much nicer to me. You know, it's not, the Zieba knives itself is not a bad logo. I just don't like its placement. I would prefer, you know, if they had to put it on there, maybe put it up here on the spine or something like that. I don't know. I just don't want to, I don't want to see that while I'm trying to enjoy the rest of the blade, but it's really not that big of a deal. You know, the other side of the blade is completely sterile. Really looks nice. See what I mean? This side looks excellent. That's, you know, it's been stamped over here. Moving down to the scales, we have beautifully contoured, sort of matte finished, almost, yeah, there's some like eggshell, a little bit of eggshell on there. That's wonderful to me. This is very classy. It adds so much more style to the handle if it were just, you know, than if it were just flat. It would just, it would look like the, well, the Boker Quaken's actually, contoured, isn't it? I don't know. I can't remember. But this just looks like a much more fancy mini Boker Quaken to me. Something that I would actually want to carry. I like this blade shape better than the trailing point or the Persian looking blade on the Quaken. I really like that. All the edges have been super knocked down, so there's nothing sharp anywhere. Very interesting slot on the pivot here. It would take a flathead and you could easily get it apart, but the line doesn't go all the way through. And it adds, it's little tiny things like that it's such a simple little tiny thing, but it makes me like it that much more. I need to point this out. The flipper tab is very pointy. It's very sharp on the left and right side. So flipping this over and over and over again, it is going to dig into your finger. You're going to have to take breaks from it if you're a fidgety person. If you're just going to take it out and make a quick cut, no big deal. But I need to point that out. It definitely is pointy. Absolutely. Very sharp. There's one body screw down here, and then you've got this this carbon fiber, I believe, carbon fiber backspacer. Yeah, that's what it looks like. The backspacer itself also is a little bit contoured, which is nice. Everything is just perfect. I mean, all the way around, it's just perfect. The centering is perfect. The lockup is great. It's got a steel lock bar insert that's the same sort of slotted screw. I love how the pocket clip looks, but once again, super pointy, sharp edges. That doesn't look like it would be, but they're very pointy. They're very sharp, and there's not a lot of room that on this knife to put your hands. There's one position. It's here. It's like this. And I'm feeling the flipper tab and I'm feeling the pocket clip. So they are hot spots. I mean, to achieve the design of this knife, you're going to notice the pocket clip in one way, shape, or form. Honestly, this design you could cut the pocket clip down by about 30% and round it off, and it would be much less of a problem. But the way that the pocket clip is here, I mean, in terms of carry and the ability to get it in and out of your pocket, yeah, it's totally fine. It's just these corners are a little sharp. Now, I don't know if this is the newest version. The version that I found on DLT Trading looked exactly like this. Maybe they have knocked those corners down a bit. If they haven't, that's something that I would really like, that they would do. So let's get on to the last part of this here. This does have, by the way, it does have a steel lock bar insert. I don't know if I said that. It does double as the over travel stop. The best thing about this knife is the carry profile. I mean, this thing will literally disappear in your pocket. It's very, very simple. Fans of simplicity and sort of a minimalist look when it's folded up will love this. But what I love is that by the moment you deploy it, it transforms into this whole different thing. It's almost like, it almost doesn't look like an object that would be housing a blade. I mean, looking at this, I would think, is that a pen? And then bam, no, it's a knife, and it's a very classy knife. It's cool. This is the type of thing that I like to show people. And some people are rolling their eyes like, why does a knife need to be a conversation piece? Why does it need to be anything else but a cutting tool? I don't know. Why does anything need to be anything? Sometimes I like going down that road and sometimes I don't. This is what it is, and it exists because there are plenty of people out there willing to pay for it. And there have been for a long time. Custom knives or expensive knives of any type or caliber have been a thing for a very long time, and they are not going away anytime soon. In fact, the knife world, especially this corner of the knife world, is expanding faster than it ever has. So that's just what it is. Now, that being said, this is very expensive. I do not know if I agree entirely on the price. This is a very precision-made item. It's very well made. Despite it being super duper small, there isn't any blade play on it. I'm holding the blade with my shirt there, off camera. Not that doing that on camera would really prove anything because you can't feel it, but you'll just have to take my word for it. There's no blade play, which is really, really cool considering how small everything is. This is still, it's very expensive. This is a $465 knife as of right now. That kind of puts it, I mean, like, here's the thing. This is, this little knife will not cut any better than my $30 Victorinox Cadet Alox. But it is a lot cooler. It just is, to me anyways. The fact that it's a flipper, the fact that it's contoured titanium and has these blue anodized hardware pieces, it has that cool factor. The materials are a lot more exotic. Titanium is more expensive than aluminum, and Damasteel is more expensive than whatever it is Victorinox is using. It's a locking knife, So yeah, in terms of just a cutting tool, yeah, that's all it's going to do is cut. So, but it's tiny. And there are a lot of little knives out there that are definitely worth the money that are being asked for them. And to a lot of people, this is going to be worth that, you know. So it's hard because there's a lot of people who they're like, I would never pay that much money for something that's that small. Size doesn't necessarily dictate value. There are definitely small knives that, you know, the time and the materials and everything put into them can equate to that type of money. But at the same time, it's like, it's really hard to recommend to people. You know, like I have a hard time recommending the Hinder XM18 at $425. That is the most recommendable expensive knife that I have ever recommended on this channel. You know, and I still cringe every time I do it because I'm like, am I really recommending? Now that one's got the tie scale on it, so it's more. But am I really recommending a $425 knife to everybody? So this is great if you're looking for a very small, very compact, very genuinely sort of conversation piece type of knife that is built well, that's going to do what you need it to do. And, you know, after all things are said and done, it cuts, you know. If you're looking for that type of thing, then this might be for you. But for everybody else, which is the vast majority of the people watching this, it's probably not going to be for you. So yeah, you know, if you're ready to spend the money, you love how it looks, you got $465 and you're like, hey, is it made well? Yeah, yep, it is. And it's going to be easy to carry. Just keep in mind the flipper tab, you know, they're trying to keep the profile down. They're trying to keep everything down and out of the way. So if it were bigger, it might be a little bit easier to use. And if it were less pointy, it might be a little bit more comfortable, but it might take away from the design, not the pointiness. The pointiness should be taken care of. Same thing with a pocket clip. The pointiness just needs to be knocked down a little bit, but everything else is good. I like it. If you need to take it apart and clean it, do some maintenance on it, it should be pretty easy considering there are so few parts on it. Really, really cool in any case. Jeff, thank you so much for letting me take a look at that. I really appreciate it. But guys, that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. Like I said, if you've been enjoying my content, please take a look at my Patreon down in the description. Have a look around if you want to be part of my weekly Patreon exclusive videos. Feel free to join us. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.